Hi, welcome to 3 Points, where we give you 3 points on this week's lesson.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Priscilla.
The 3 points for this week are 1,
Without works of the law,
2,
undeserving grace,
and 3.
justice of Christ. Number 1, without works of the law.
Everybody values and appreciates good behavior. Good behavior generally brings good consequences in most areas of life. We are rewarded for our good behavior from the time we're toddlers to high school. It is the same system. If you show good behavior, you get good consequences. This could work in many areas of life. However, it does not work when it comes to our salvation. The Bible explains this concept clearly in the words of Paul.
Romans 3:19 through 20 says, "Now we know that whatever the law says, it is to those who are under the law, so that every mouth may be silenced and the whole world held accountable to God. Therefore no one will be declared righteous in God's sight by the works of the law. Rather, through the law, we became conscious of our sin."
Paul explains that no one will be declared just or without sin solely through their own behavior. In other words, keeping the law cannot make us righteous in the sight of God. Our only way to be accepted as righteous is to accept the righteousness of Christ. Point number 2, undeserving grace.
Romans 3:23 through 24 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Jesus Christ."
There is nothing in us that makes us deserving of God's grace and his sacrifice. We've all sinned, we have all fallen short of the glory of God. The reward of our best behavior possible is death. Even with our best efforts, we remain sinners. As a criminal deserves punishment for his crime, so do we deserve death.
There was once a very privileged teenager who just entered one of the best schools in California. Just a few days into his admission, he was put on probation due to his relentless behavior. Accustomed to living in a luxurious house, wearing the finest clothes, and counting with the full support of his parents, he began to cause trouble and was generally disrespectful. He watched the sadness from this news in the eyes of his father just a day before his 20th birthday. The next morning, dreading the reaction of his father, he left his room at the request of his mother, who took him to the garage. There, his father gave him a small box with a key inside. When he looked inside, he realized he was holding the keys of his brand new car. He walked confused by the behavior of his parents in the midst of all his rebellion. He got inside the car, smelling its new aroma, and tears of joy overwhelmed him as he murmured to himself, "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this."
As imperfect as the story might be, it shows us that the feeling of knowing you don't deserve it, the feeling of mercy in the midst of our guilt. If you ever meet a person who says, "I don't go to church," or "I don't go to God because I don't deserve it, I am too much of a sinner for that," you might need to explain the concept of grace. If the people who deserve salvation were the only ones to receive it, we would all be lost. Grace is always undeserving. It is something that we do not deserve. It is a gift from God.
Our final point is the justice of Christ.
Romans 3:25. God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonements through the shedding of his blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate his righteousness because in his forbearance he had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished.
Let's explain what salvation really means. Here's the main idea. Only Christ's justice is good enough to save us. Let me show you with an illustration. Let's say that we have 3 containers. This one represents Jesus. This one is pure and without sin. This one represents sin. This is our disobedience and rebellious nature against God. And the third one represents you and me, the ones who rebelled against God. You see, you and I, as you can see, we were created to be perfect. We were pure. But then sin comes along and it taints us. It makes us dirty. We're no longer pure. It's not what we're meant to be, but it's what sin does to us. You and I, this is what we are. We're sinful.
This is Christ, pure and perfect, without sin. Christ came to take the sin of the world, and look what happened. He's still pure and perfect.
So this is the amazing thing that salvation does. Us, all sinful, still tainted, still dirty and full of sin, Christ comes with his purity and his conquer over sin. So Christ comes to our rescue and he makes us clean with his purity so that we, once again, can be restored and be made clean and pure. This is the justice of Christ. It's our only way to be saved.
Now to review the 3 points of today. Number 1,
Without works of the law,
number 2,
undeserving grace,
and number 3.
the justice of Christ. Thank you so much for watching this video with us today.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Leave us a comment and also check down the link in the description.
Bye!
Bye!